The topic Dajjal is one which all of the prophets of Allah warned their people about. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said, Allah most great and glorious never sent a prophet without warning their nation about Dajjal. Furthermore, the Prophet ﷺ had said, there is no trial from the time of Adam's creation until the last hour greater than that of Dajjal. First and foremost, it means that knowledge about Dajjal is not unique to Islam. And truly, in the system of Christianity, there is a belief concerning Dajjal. Of course, in English, Dajjal is called the Antichrist, Masih ad-Dajjal. And we can find references in the Bible, Old Testament as well as New Testament, concerning Dajjal or the Antichrist. And the Prophet ﷺ had warned us, as we said, that when we no longer hear Dajjal spoken about on the mimbars, in the khutbah of Jum'ah, know that the time is near. Antichrists. But actually, when he explained who they were, he said that they would all claim that they were messengers of Allah. Whereas Masih ad-Dajjal, the true Antichrist, he will go a step beyond that, as we'll see in more detail. He will actually claim that he is Allah. This is the big difference between himself and the others. He will claim that he is Allah. And the term Dajjal is taken from the Arabic Dajjala, which means to deceive. So there's the element of deception there. So he's called Masih ad-Dajjal, meaning the Christ, Masih ad-Dajjal, who deceives people as to who he really is. Now, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ described him in terms which leave no room for interpretation other than a human being with particular characteristics which Allah has given him and abilities. Because some people, when you read some of the writings, they say that Masih ad-Dajjal, actually he is the television. One eye just looking at you. Or they say it's really Freemasonry. You know, the symbol of Freemasonry again is that eye, right? On the pyramid, like in the American dollar. And there are no end of interpretations people have made concerning Masih ad-Dajjal. However, the Prophet ﷺ described him as being blind in the right eye. And that right eye will move around in the socket, like it's floating in the socket, like a grape. Not in a fixed position, moving around continually. And his left eye will also be defective, having a thick film which would be like green glass. And that eye will also be, the left eye will be bulging out of the socket.
And also the idea of being one-eyed is that part of binocular vision is depth perception. which you lose with one eye. And so the idea that that the Dajjal or the Antichrist does not have a depth perception. He's a two-dimensional being. He sees things in two dimensions.
And remember, this point needs to be clarified. Many times people are only familiar with the eye of a Dajjal. How do non-Muslims use this sign of the eye? Those non-Muslims who worship Egyptian pagan gods will use the Eye of Horus as a sign of the god, the spirit of the god that they worship, which is Horus. The only reason why Horus has a faulty eye, because in the myth, the legends state that Horus lost his eye in a battle. The Hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the reason for the eyes being faulty is not given. What we do know is that the eyes have been created faulty to make him a sign to the creation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him like this, and he is not able to remove this fault from himself. So the eyes are described.
Masih al-Kadhab, the false Christ or Antichrist, is to be a certain man, right? Comes forth in the last days. So having one eye or eyebrow. So you get the idea there. This is classical, coming out of classical dictionaries. The idea of the Antichrist is that towards the end there will be a type of false salvation through love of the world and material things and these things. And I think the Muslims definitely have a very strong sense of the Dajjal, because at the end of the prayer, you actually make a prayer that says, "And I seek refuge from the tribulation of the Dajjal."